Sound off in the comments.
No, here's
don't
the
sit
thing.
for DBs.
Here's the
takes
thing.
Kyle Hamilton or Joey Bosa is dead to me in the 4th round is the bigger betrayal of who we are as people.
It's the IDP show, now you know.
Welcome to the IDP show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Sode Shack tonight. On my right, Adam Markham. On my left, Bobby Reynolds. Gentlemen, how are we this evening?
Hey, wonderful evening to talk football with you gents.
That's true, Addy. Bobo, wonderful evening here in BG.
Sure is. A little smoky outside.
It was. And Addy, I think maybe you had tea time with some wind trying to ruin your day. Did you let it get you down, though, on old Kenny?
No, I early on I built in the excuse like this is going to be a windy day. Whatever happens here, Adam, it's not really your fault. And it was a rough day.
That's some good self-talk, people.
Really rough day.
Didn't matter, it sounds like, but
It's a tough day, man. It's for everyone out there grinding through the winter. Just remember, it's not you right now. It's not you right now. It's you're fine. You lose like 30 yards in the winter. The
Adam was
wind
like,
takes it
have I
up.
lost all my strength?
Yeah. I was. Yeah. You can talk bad about yourself. Really, the only thing you're playing for in the winter is just to keep the contact going, right?
Sure.
Pretty much, just so you don't dribble it off, like we saw Tom Brady do recently.
He did.
See that?
Or,
He dribbled it off the tee.
That's just a man that's only played golf like once in the last month and a half.
He's
right?
holding up his 6 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
or however many.
It
He's
happens.
getting drunk
It
on a
happens.
boat.
It happens. If you don't play, consistently, you're going to do that stuff. So yeah, you're just playing for the contact because you're not going to play good in the winter. You're not going to be hitting your lowest rounds.
Hey, it's 65 degrees in February in Kentucky.
We'll take it.
Who
What's
cares?
to complain about?
I think Kyle B's probably digging his car out of another snowbank.
Yeah,
so
which is good to get out there.
It is. Yeah, we can
right.
get out there. Thank you to the groundhog, Puxatawny Phil, for giving us 6 weeks of spring.
Dude, the hype videos all over Twitter were amazing.
For the groundhog?
Did you see all these?
No, I didn't.
There was a ton of them. Just people. Internet's just.
I wanna be in your feed
Internet's
for a day.
undefeated. Oh, it's
It's good. It's a
I'm
fun
logging
place.
out.
It's a
I'm gonna
hellhole.
log into yours
Yeah.
tomorrow. We'll swap up for a couple days.
Yeah, I don't know if you can handle it.
yeah. Bobo holds down the Facebook side for us, which I feel like is the real cesspool.
Yeah.
And then DJ Keltown's got us held down in the
Right.
Reddit streets, which is also a godforsaken nightmare.
Yeah.
So
I don't check Reddit.
no, it's a bad place to be.
Yeah, they're not very nice down there.
Yeah, the YouTube comments, there's like varying degrees of hell when it comes to social interaction. Twitter's a graveyard and a cesspool, but it's our cesspool.
Yeah.
That's where we live.
Sure.
It's gotten way worse lately with the
Oh, yeah.
bots and
I'm blocking a sex bot every single day on the
Every
show
day.
account. I'm like, who is this person liking a 4-month-old tweet?
I know, man.
Like a start-sit question.
Yeah. It's always a sex bot.
It is. I'm like, wow, we're really gaining. Nope, another sex bot.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, but thank you all for tuning in for the golf talk and the sex bot talk and best ball. We are going to be doing a way too early best ball draft recap tonight. We are in the midst of the first 2 best ball drafts of the season. Addy has fired up best ball drafts 1 and 2 for us, and they are underway right now. In fact, I just made a pick in number 2 and just made a pick in number 1 as well. So
Yeah.
what we're going to do tonight is break down the draft for best ball number 1. You're going to see it here on the screen if you are watching on YouTube. We're basically just going to go round by round, hit some of the picks that we like, explain our strategy and thought process, and kind of take you all behind the curtain of what it's like to draft IDP best ball on beginning of February, Bobo.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a Wild West situation.
Is this before we started last year?
I think so.
I think we had the first one kick off right at the tail end of January, like January 30th or 31st, maybe.
Okay.
But it was pretty close. I mean, this one, number 1, fired up, I think, on Friday of last week or something. So it was pretty close.
Right
like
there,
beginning
right
of
there.
February, about the same time.
We're definitely ahead of schedule with most things, though. Rookie ranks, I've watched way more tape on the players coming out of the draft in February than I probably have at any time in the past. But yeah, this was fun. There's a lot of good dudes in this draft. You're
It's
not
a sharp
gonna
room. It's a
you're
very
not gonna
sharp
let
room.
your queue stay full for very long.
Yeah, I had to do. I mean, this one I've had to do some things differently just because.
We're going to talk about it. You've been body snatched, I think.
Yeah, a lot of like-minded folks in this one. You got to zag, folks.
That's
You
true.
You got to zag.
As we saw from Country Boy Swagger's victory in IDP Madness, going LB early, sometimes you do have to zag. if you're trying to beat a bunch of sharp folks. So let's jump right into it, fellas. And like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to be able to see the draft board in real time. We're actually doing something a little bit different tonight. So you're going to be able to see the draft board, and we will go, like we said, round by round. But let's kick things off talking through who is actually in Best Ball number 1. So it is leading things off with Country Boy Swagger, Andrew Morgan. Bobo is at the 102. Evan Ringler is at the 3. Eric Harms is at the 4. Our boy Lauren Lucas is at the 5. Andrew Preston is at 6. Dynasty Logic, Tim Kirkland is at 7. Addy is at 8. Johnny is at 9. I'm at 10. Jason King is at 11, and DJ Keltown is at the 112. So, Addy, before we get going, speaking of DJ Keltown, plug Mr. Keltown's article for the folks who haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, Keltown put together just, in my opinion, the best article of the year. It's summarizing all the best balls that we did this last offseason, which was 71 best balls. Just him going through and breaking down, which players were on the teams that won, best values, just so much data broken down. It's Keltown. He's a guy that lives for data and
got a very sharp mind.
One of the sharpest people that I've met since doing this, and it shows in this article. It's just an incredible read. Just you got to read it. What I'm going to say is not going to do it justice.
Go check it out. It's free on the website right now.
Yeah. We're proud to know this dude. We're thankful to have his work on the website, and we want as many people to read it as we can get.
Bobo, I said in the tweet that I want this show to pioneer IDP Best Ball. We're doing our best to kind of get this format out in front of the masses and get more people to check out IDP, because I think it's a really good way to try IDP for the first time. You brought in, I think, some folks who are trying it for the first time.
Yeah.
And so as part of that responsibility for trying to push this forward, we got to teach people how to draft.
Yeah.
What to look for, what to do, how to find value, right? And so that's what I like about DJ Keltown's article, is it really does a nice job laying out just some very clear takeaways for, hey, it's a good blueprint for how you should draft winning teams.
I mean, best ball is the gateway drug. You get in and, shout out Jay Ball. He got in last year and has won a couple of best ball leagues. In the 71 that we ran last year.
I think he was 15, top 15.
Yeah,
in
top
Madness.
15 in Madness. He won our League 6, whatever that was, for our division. So, yeah, I've had lots of questions from several friends saying, hey, when are we going to get the best balls going this year?
That's it.
They're so much fun, dude. They're the best.
Absolutely.
I try to have at least a couple drafts going at all times, just so, I'm staying sharp. I'm staying plugged in.
Scratches that itch, man.
It just makes you better because you're already seeing what values are falling. You're seeing what the market thinks about players.
And like Adam always says, it's way better than a mock. We're not just going to show you a bunch of stupid mocks because
I'm not going to try
cares.
dumb stuff when I'm putting up money for a potential prize pool. I'm going to try to draft the best team.
A couple dollars, we're in here with a bunch of sharks. I mean, honestly, Best Ball 1 has not been fun.
No, it's been miserable.
Every round has been awful.
My queue is getting I'll be like, I've got like 5 or 6 guys in the queue at the turn. There'll be plenty of No, it's shot all to hell by the time it gets back to me.
Yeah, I love IDP. It's really just a different type of fantasy football. If you were to say, Bobby, you've got to only pick one type of fantasy football for the rest of your life. You can have offensive like you've always done it, or you can have IDP. Give me IDP 1,000 times.
Yes.
Offense.
I don't care a thing about offense, man. It's IDP or bust. So that's what we're here to help y'all do. Get your toes dipped in the water of IDP. If you've never tried it before, I promise you will catch the bug, especially the way we do these drafts. It's 4-hour timers. It's paused overnight. We do anywhere from like $1 to $5 to $10 at the most, all handled via League Safe. And usually 31 rounds, 12 teams. Sometimes we do shorter drafts. I think Madness was maybe 24 rounds.
Right.
So there are some shorter drafts out there.
We'll do some DB only, LB only.
We can mix it up. We can do offense. I mean, that's the beauty of these sorts of drafts is we can try lots of stuff, and we'll probably be in the 70 to 100 range, I would say, again this year.
We'll do some offense ones too. Like we'll have some combined drafts. We did that last year, and that was fun. We only did one of them, but we're going to do probably 5 to 10 this year.
We do more than just run tournaments, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we do a lot.
So what we're going to do,
trying to find that out.
Yes, we're going to break this down for you all. Like I said, just going through some of the early picks, strategies, value picks, some questionable decisions here. We're going to touch on it all tonight. And gentlemen, let's just jump right into the first round because a lot of the names here are going to make sense, but there is one name I'm a little surprised jumped all the way into the first round. So let's go 101 through 112, starting off with Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Roquan Smith. So you see the big 5 defensive linemen go off the board first, and then Roquan Smith is the first linebacker off the board. So far, no real big surprises for me. Then you get Danielle Hunter and Aiden Hutchinson. I was hoping that Hutchinson would slide to me, but Addy scoops him up at 108. Johnny goes Foyce to Luakun, so I go Josh Allen, and then Jason goes with Will Anderson, and then Khalil Mack rounds things out at 112 to DJ Keltown. Addy, we wondered where Khalil Mack was going to go, and I mean, first best ball of the year, he goes at the 112. A little surprising for you?
I don't think so. I mean, a guy's coming off how many sacks this season?
17 sacks.
17 sacks. I mean, he's still elite pretty much across the board. That's what all the metrics tell us. So, and it's been that way even when it was kind of having these down statistical years. That's why I was so in on Khalil Mack last year. I didn't think he really lost much of a step. I still think he's gonna, be a top option for you. Flirt with potentially 15 sacks. I mean, that's worth the first round pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
he warrants a back end of the first pick.
I think he deserves to be in that 111 to 202, 203 range, right? I think that's where he'll settle in the ADP.
I honestly think that you can make an argument for him to even be higher though, honestly, because I think you want to hammer these elite edge guys early. Like my first 6 in the ranks, actually my first 7 is edge guys. It's TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Allen.
There you go. And we saw those guys come off in the first 10 picks.
And I could see myself, bumping Hunter up above Foye, bumping Khalil Mack up above both the linebackers too.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 things while y'all are talking. Danielle Hunter is a name that was kind of interesting at that point in the draft, but you can't hate it. I was looking at his contract. He's going to be in Minnesota again through 2024. Like they have the same amount of money whether he plays versus a dead cap. So I don't mind that
He's
at all.
a free agent.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's a pending free agent. So I think they get a deal done.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
wow, I'm reading that wrong.
UFA in 2024.
So sorry. I pulled up the ADP from 2023. Where do you think Khalil Mack went? Edge what?
He was like edge 30 something.
Was he really?
He's close. 34.
Wow, I thought he would have been higher than that.
No.
Edge 34 by ADP?
Crazy. Yeah.
Oh my God, I was going to guess top 12.
Last year?
Yeah, Danielle Hunter?
No. Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack.
Oh, Khalil Mack.
Where do you think
sorry.
Hunter was?
Oh, I think he was.
It's like 15, right?
God, you're out of. You need to leave.
He's locked in.
He was 14.
Yeah,
Really
I
dang
thought he
close.
was in that 12 to 15 range.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Khalil Mack. Yes. He was a huge value because you talked about it on your IDP MVP episode.
Right.
What'd you say he was? 30.
34.
34?
Yeah. I'm off of it now.
In the 30s.
I love the pick there for Ringler. Ringler has to think that Micah Parsons there falling to the 103 is just a gift. But I'm kind of with you guys. I mean, Country Boy Swagger, there goes Nick Bosa, 101. Crosby, it's hard to look away from how many snaps that dude plays. Is he the best player of those 5?
If I were at the 101, I'm going Max Crosby.
Your team Max.
Yeah, but I wouldn't argue with any of the first 5 picks here.
Yeah,
I really
TJ
wouldn't.
Watt 101 for me.
Yeah, I mean,
TJ Watt?
he was
22.7 points per
Yeah.
game this year.
yeah.
That was highest among all these guys.
The injury risk is what concerns me with
Yeah.
TJ
Agreed.
Watt the most, but in terms of if he's on the field, that guy is a league winner.
But I think the best spot in drafts this year is actually like 6, 7, 8, just because I think Aiden Hutchinson takes another step. I think he belongs in that.
Yep.
Yes.
Last year we talked about it was like a clear 5. It's like I think he's 6. I think it's like really 7. I mean, with Josh Allen, I think he
I
belongs.
think Danielle Hunter belongs in that conversation as well.
Josh, did you have a hard
Yeah.
time taking Josh Allen over Will Anderson?
No, not over Will Anderson. I was hoping that Hutchinson would fall to me or Hunter.
Okay.
So it was Hutchinson, Hunter, and then Allen. But I believe Josh Allen gets the dual designation here on Sleeper, doesn't he? Let's see.
Yeah, he
Show
does.
player card.
Yep,
It
he does.
is, yeah, LB and DL. So that's helpful. I mean, that makes him a lot more appealing in this format. So, yeah, I was not torn. I'm honestly not surprised to see Will Anderson go in the first round, but I thought him and Khalil Mack would probably be like second round picks more than like end of the first round picks. They belong here. I'm not saying that they don't, but those are the two that stood out to me. I'm not surprised to see anyone else in the first.
Now, not to crap on anything because we love all these guys, but I just don't love the Roquan pick. After the year that we saw last year, it just seems a little bit high. I'm not taking Roquan over Daniil, Hutchinson, Foye, Josh Allen, Will Anderson. I'd probably take Roquan over like Khalil Mack at that point. But I don't know with Pat Queen leaving that the points per game really changed that much for Roquan. I mean, maybe we probably do see a bump a little bit for his play in 2024 just because 2023 was a little bit down. But I had him at a lot of those same spots last year. 2023, I took Roquan right around the 106, 107. He was kind of that first linebacker, after the big five, the big six type of, group there. So, I don't hate it. I get it. I do love Roquan, and I do expect him probably to play better than he did last year, but it wasn't my favorite pick.
I think I'm going to go edge probably first round
I think
in
so.
every single draft.
Regardless.
Yeah.
You taking Roquan or Hassan Reddick?
Probably Roquan.
Yeah. If I'm at the end of the draft, I'm looking at Will Anderson. Like if I'm at the end of the first round, I'm looking at Will Anderson, Khalil Mack, Josh Allen, Kayvon. Those would be the guys I'm looking at.
Yeah, let's go second round here. We'll read through all the picks of the first few rounds here. We won't go round by round, but 201 starting off: Trey Hendrickson, Bobby Okereke, Fred Warner, Hassan Reddick, Kayvon Thibodeau, Matthew Judon, Montez Sweat, Brian Burns, Jermaine Johnson, Zaire Franklin, Justin Matabike, and Nick Bolton. So I'll go first since I was first up kind of in this lineup here. I did want to snag a linebacker. I think that was one of the takeaways I had from 2023 was I'm not going to be shy about taking elite linebackers early in drafts. I'm not just going to stack 3 or 4 defensive linemen and just let all of these stud linebackers pass me by.
Especially at this point, like in the year, with it being February, like it's so hard to figure out what's going to happen after free agency. With the draft coming up, there's going to be a lot of changes that happen to these depth charts. So, yeah, Fred Warner is locked in.
Yeah, we know
he's going to be.
He's going to be there.
He's going to be LB1 for the next decade.
Yes, exactly.
So we don't got to worry about him. So yeah, I'm kind of with that, kind of sprinkling in these guys you do not have to worry about as far as as their role goes for next year and stuff.
Yeah, that was my thinking, Bobo, was let me just grab a linebacker that, because you look across the league, like a lot of these top options have dicey futures, right? We're going to talk about a lot of linebackers here that are pending free agents, are getting older. And so Fred Warner was a guy I was like locked and loaded, not going to worry about Fred. So that's why I went with him over maybe some of these other linebackers like Zaire, Nick Bolton, Luvu, David, Wilson, we'll talk about here in a little bit.
And it feels like for me that after that the Will Anderson pick in the first round, like that's the tier break for me. Like Will Anderson, that edge LB type moving forward is like, that's the tier 1 of like who you want to draft in the first round. After that, I'm kind of more open to the Fred Warners, Bobby Okereke, Matt Judon. I don't know. I don't really know if I really love that. But, you can kind of introduce yourself to those. Zaire Franklin, Nick Boltons. You can start working those guys in.
I think the 4th round is really where the shelf is for me. Like that, just looking at the break here, I'm like, we get into some like, I don't know.
Questionable
kind of,
linebackers.
Yes. Yeah, that's where it gets a little dicey of like, I think the first 4 rounds, some pretty clear pecking order.
Let me ask you something, Josh, because I think you're big on this guy for this year. All right, do you want Roquan Smith or Brian Burns?
Roquan.
Probably, man, it's tough. Probably Roquan just because of the locked and loaded. He's in Baltimore. As long as he's healthy, top 12 option for you. And then Brian Burns, what if he's back in Carolina on the franchise tag, pissed off, and we get another situation like 2023? I mean, I think brighter days are ahead, but I don't think that's necessarily locked and loaded guarantee for 2024.
And what's Brian Burns' upside, right? Is he going to be one of these guys that ever gets us like 17 points per game or something? So far, it's been like 15.4, I think, is his max.
If he landed in a situation like, let's say the Rams did pull off
Yes,
a trade for him,
that would
right? And
be-
he's playing alongside Aaron Donald. I think we
ADP.
could see a breakout season for Brian
Yeah.
Burns.
Do you see Kayvon in the same group of like Josh Allen, Will Anderson, Aiden Hutchinson?
I like him after those guys.
Okay.
But
okay.
I mean, I think he's right there.
I think he's probably the start of his own tier, maybe.
I don't think after 2024 it would be. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for us to be sitting here this time next year saying, Kayvon, Will
Right there
Anderson,
with
do you
you.
take
I
whoever
think
you want
he's.
there?
I think he's
Exactly.
very clearly a second-round pick. Is
Yeah.
what I would say.
Which
This
is I love.
Yeah,
I'll
because
take
he
him.
was 110, 111 last year,
right.
pretty consistently, and we see him here at the 205.
That team was just a mess last year from the
Yeah.
beginning. I think a lot of us, I was hyped up kind of about them. You know, they're coming off of pretty good showing in the playoffs. You know, they took down my Vikings, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it seemed like they were going to be a team that was much better, and
Yep.
that meant Kayvon was going to. He did play better. He had like 11 and a half sacks, I think, but it wasn't
Wasn't what we were hoping.
wasn't as consistent as we would have liked. But yeah, I still have high hopes for him. I still think that they can find some juice back in that building if they have a good offseason and everything. So I like Kayvon. I think he's fine.
I will say probably my favorite pick of the second round here is Andrew going with Montez Sweat at 207.
Yeah.
The way the guy finished the season, I mean, leading both the Commanders and the Bears in sacks, despite getting traded like around midseason, is pretty remarkable. And I think this team, loaded with cap space, loaded with draft picks, I think it's going to be an improving, ascending unit. And so I love Sweat there. I think he's one of those very sneaky tier 2 edge options that could vault into tier 1 for 2024.
Yeah, I don't
Because we know
disagree.
guys are going to take the leap. So it's like, who are the most likely candidates to do that? I think you see a lot of them here. Kayvon, Montez Sweat, Brian Burns. All those guys could make that leap into like first round consideration for 2025.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts here on the second round, Addy, before we move
I
on?
mean, what about Jermaine Johnson here, second round?
I think Eric even admitted in the moment that was a little rich. But
I mean, it may not be. I mean, he did.
he deserves to go in the third. So it's like, if you like him there at 209, he may not make it back to you at 304.
yeah,
What was Jermaine's ADP last year, you think?
Oh gosh, he was
probably like
edge.
edge 80 to 90.
Edge
That-
52.
I was gonna say
That's surprising.
edge 50. Yeah,
So I think I have already pulled off the
Actually, there was a lot of hype about him towards the end of the
Yeah.
offseason. So that
it probably
That
was
talks.
closer to 80.
I think
at the
he
beginning.
could
Yeah.
be the guy that makes, like, if you were power ranking these guys, likelihood to jump into that top tier, he's right there in that
Yeah,
mix
I
as
think
well.
so.
I mean,
He's
we
awesome,
saw he was, I think he finished as like in the top 12 of edges for 2023 by Big Three scoring. Just a phenomenal season from Jermaine Johnson. And again, if you don't think he's going to make it back around to you, then just take him,
Yeah.
So yeah, a little rich. Eric even admitted that, but not a crazy pick by any stretch. Were you sad to see Country Boy Swagger go with Nick Bolton at the 212?
No, not really. I do think that's probably the highest Justin Matabikwe.
I was going to say, what was the Matabike pick?
I just love him, man. I don't know. It's probably a little bit of recency bias, but I rostered him all year in XFL, and he just dominated for me. And I don't know. I guess maybe in a perfect world, I'm just hoping that Baltimore can retain him and that we see a lot of the same in 2024 as we did in 2023. I don't know that all of those sacks will be there, but that guy is just a really good interior defensive lineman. I just really like him. What is Matabike's ADP in 2023?
Oh my gosh, was he
This
like?
is probably the highest riser.
Is it actually like D tackle ADP or
no?
DL?
So this is edge.
He was ranked as an edge.
Mhm.
Oh gosh, then he's way down there. Edge 80.
What do you think?
Yeah, edge 90.
94.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ADP folks will be starting to come together here after we finish this draft. We've got it automated for you folks, so make sure you're subscribed over at theidpshow.com for access to the ADP. Let's move to the third round, though, and start with Country Boy Swagger at the 301, going with Quinnen Williams. And then Bobo goes Ernest Jones. Then Dexter Lawrence, TJ Edwards, Harold Landry, Chris Jones, Quincy Williams, Aaron Donald, CJ Mosley, Quay Walker, Patrick Queen, and Rashawn Gary to round things out. Bobo, why don't you kick us off since you were the first one to pick coming back this way?
Yeah.
Ernest Jones at the 302. I mean, I would still pick Fred, but Ernest, in my mind, if I was sitting there at like that 209 to 212 range, he would have been in consideration for me.
I know Justin M was probably a reach in the second round, but Ernest felt like one of those ones where it was like, all right, this guy is not staying on the board anymore. Especially with you hanging around. I knew he was not going to last through the third round.
He would have been my pick at 310 if he was still there.
I know that's a homer pick, but dude, Ernest Jones put up great points last year, and I think it's going to be much of the same in 2024. So I don't know. You can hate on me for my Ernest love, but I think he had 248 points in Big Three scoring last year, and I expect every bit of that again for 2024.
Yeah, no, I love him there. I think he's probably my LB5.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about locked and loaded guys, and that's what we see here. I mean,
I like him
look,
better than Bolton.
right? I
Me
mean,
too.
look at the guys that have gone off the board thus far at linebacker. Roquan, locked and loaded. Foye, gonna be there. Okereke, gonna be there. Fred Warner, yep. Zaire Franklin, yep. Nick Bolton, and then Ernest Jones. So far, then TJ Edwards, the next one. CJ Mosley, Quay Walker. Patrick Queen is the first linebacker at the 311 that is a pending free agent. So I think there's a certain bias here towards linebacker certainty, Addy, where guys are trying to snatch up linebackers who have secured roles.
Absolutely. Yeah, kind of like we mentioned earlier. I mean, you're looking at the linebackers like, oh boy, there's not a lot of guys that I feel good about. And so, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense that you kind of want to shore that up within the first 4 rounds.
There's so much uncertainty coming down the pipe with free agency and the draft and cuts and retirements. It's like this early in the draft, man, I'm just trying to cling to the few things that I know.
You need to understand, though, folks, this is not a typical draft. Like, we've already started best ball number 2, and it is a lot more forgiving.
Yes,
Like,
it is. This is a very sharp room.
Yes.
The guys are not going to slide in
But this is a
draft.
good one to pay attention to just because it's not, it's a lot of good drafters, a lot of people that got a lot of reps in last offseason, plugged in all this season because they were good, and in it in most of their leagues. So, yeah, it's going to be. This is a like ADP you want to pay attention to.
This will probably mirror pretty closely to what the ADP is, at least up until like the NFL draft. I would
right,
say.
free agency and stuff.
Yes.
That'll change a lot of stuff. But
Yep.
yes, this will be one of the best drafts we do up until free agency.
Yep.
This is something I pay attention to a lot as well, especially with the IDLs in here as defensive linemen. I don't know. We've kind of had a little bit of Quinnen Williams, question marks in 2023, but Quinnen Williams graded out with the highest pressure rate among interior defensive linemen, also number 1 in rush defense. So it goes Quinnen Williams 1, Dexter Lawrence, Justin Matabikwe, Ed Oliver, Chris Jones, Aaron Donald rounds us out at 5. So for all the hate that Quinnen Williams probably got in 2023 for not getting so many sacks, I think patience is probably worth it there with Quinnen.
I
Nice
agree.
little buy.
I was gonna say I love that pick that Andrew made right there. I expect Quinnen Williams to have a much better 2024 just because he didn't get home on sacks, but he still was pretty solid. 11.6 points per game despite not getting these.
It was a down year. Like
Yeah,
I think
it happens.
good players, you're not going to put up back-to-back down years.
Yeah, I mean
That's just not in this guy's DNA.
and that's why that's what we think might happen with Justin M. I know Bob loves him,
Oh, yeah.
but I mean that's expect that to happen with Justin M. Just when you have these big huge years, it's just likely to regress, especially from
oh my
that
gosh.
position. It's a tough position,
This is so weird. So literally the list that I just read off of there of the leaders, look at who is taken here. So Justin M., Quinnen, Dexter Lawrence, Chris Jones, Aaron Donald there from the
Right in a
211
row.
to the 308.
yeah.
That's
Old
creepy.
Ringler was looking at PFF.
He was.
The ranks.
He said he hopes Sexy Dexy's fantasy pressure or pressures translates to fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, I love Dex, but I feel like he's going to be a nice value this year. I don't think you're going to have to see him go in the third in a lot of places.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at a third round full of potential bounce back defensive tackles because these are all guys that underwhelmed to a certain degree in 2023.
Do y'all like Rashawn Gary there.
Yes,
I
I
love
do.
Rashawn
I
Gary.
do,
I had him in the
yes.
queue. I was kind of hoping he would get back around. I knew
Great pick there at
DJ KT's the
yep 312 because he'll be fully healed.
absolutely
Right, I would expect a full complement of snaps north of 75%.
And especially in the best balls, Rashawn Gary has kind of got that Chris Jones in him to where he can go for a 3-sack game
Yep.
and put up 45 a week. Yeah, I love that pick by DJ KT. DJ KT kind of killed the first 4 rounds. Trey Hendrickson is okay, but then Rashawn Gary, Alex Highsmith in the 4th. Dear goodness, that's a massive value there.
Addie, talk about your pick there at 308. Aaron Donald, you're still in on the Donald late career kind of.
Of course.
surge.
Of course. I mean, Aaron Donald, let's see. He is, how old is he? He's
31.
31. 32. He's 32.
That's not as old as I thought.
No. What do we just see Khalil Mack do?
At 32.
Had a career year at 32.
And speaking of which, make sure you check out the Chargers YouTube channel. Brett Coleman put up a video breaking down how Khalil Mack was able to achieve this. One of only, I think, 7 edge rushers in NFL history to put up that many sacks north of 30 years old.
Wow.
It is a all-time historic performance by a player of his age.
You know, with very little help there, too.
It's the
Bosa
third.
was-
Yeah, no Bosa this
I
year.
think it's the third time that a Chargers player had done it, but both of the 2 guys previous, one of whom was Sean Merriman. You forget how good
yeah.
Merriman was,
Lights out.
who did it at 22, and then the other guy did it at 28. So both of them did it before they hit 30, whereas Khalil Mack did it north of 30. So yeah, age, especially for these guys, that's what he talked about with Khalil Mack was the strength this guy has, right? Not just to like push the guard back into the quarterback's lap, but the power to not get flattened going around the edge by these tackles, trying to push him out. I mean, I think Aaron Donald has demonstrated to be that same level of like
And I mean,
grown-ass man strength.
I think, we're going to see year 2 of Kobe Turner, year 2 of Byron Young. And then I imagine they're going to bring in some more help. They have some money to spend now.
First round pick.
And then also let's talk about the juice in the building now. I mean, they should be fired up. They should be thinking about potentially making a run in the playoffs. And who knows what happens, but they have the pieces in place where that's probably his mindset. And so I feel like we're going to have a nice AD season. I'm expecting like 70 plus tackles and like 10 plus
10
sacks.
plus sacks, yeah.
I
would
think
agree.
I think it's kind of like Cooper Kupp in the same side of the other side of the ball, where I think Cooper's a nice little buy right now.
Exactly, man.
You got 2 more good years out of Coop.
Yep.
You got 2 more good years out of AD. If
He
you want my
wasn't
opinion.
healthy this year.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, dude, people don't know how unhealthy Cooper Kupp was. And if you're drafting Puka expecting the same from him next year, expect to be a little disappointed because Cooper Kupp will catch a lot more of those Puka passes. Sorry to go offensively honest, but
I don't know. I think the whole offense could just
It could-
hum up even more.
It might. It might.
We do have a new defensive coordinator in LA. That's one thing
That is
just
a little
to keep an eye
interesting.
on.
Yeah.
It's Chris Shula, which I'm guessing is Don Shula's maybe son or grandson. He looks young, so maybe grandson. So, because Raheem Morris, now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. So
I should know, but I don't know. So we'll find
Chris
out.
Shula. So I don't know much about Chris Shula, but that always is just something to pay attention to. I think that defense
he from?
probably, I'm not sure.
Aaron
but-
Donald's just gonna say, "My name's Aaron Donald."
Yeah, you're not
right
going
there.
to implement a
Here's
defensive.
where we're running.
Yeah, it goes the other way when Aaron Donald's in the building. So, he is. Let's see. I'll have to look up what his background is. I think he might have been on the Rams staff potentially. So
And Don just shows him a video of the knife training.
Yeah.
don't make me use you as the knife training dummy. Let's move to the 4th round.
No, let's not move there yet. Quay Walker, speak on it for a second. You like Quay there at 310?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bad year for Packers linebackers. Both Quay and Devondre were both banged up and out of the lineup at various points. But I'm buying the dip on Quay Walker. I think this is going to be a bounce back year. And if it's not a bounce back year, I've got Devondre Campbell about 10 rounds later. So it'll end up being Isaiah McDuffie, I'm sure. But no, I like Quay here. Again, I'm just looking for certainty, right? And you look at some of the linebackers that were still, look at the linebackers that go after the Quay Walker pick. You're talking about Logan Wilson, Levante David, Frankie Louvu, Alex Singleton, Bernard. We'll talk about Bernard in the 5th.
I feel good about
what a
Logan
pick.
Wilson, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Just
as far
because
as
we know he's going to
stability,
be there.
Right. Yeah,
So-
he's paid. He's a good linebacker.
Yeah, so that was my thinking was I worry about Devondre Campbell, like Addy said, being washed potentially. But Quay Walker's a young ascending player, and I think we're going to see a much better 2024.
And you're right. I mean, I worry. You took them over Bobby Wagner, right? And
Yeah.
Levante.
Mm-hmm. I took him over Patrick Queen as well. He was the next linebacker to go.
Patrick Queen could be a nice one right there.
He could be. I just was
But
like,
he could also suck. I mean, he could go to a team and
we
not
just
be
don't
in
know.
that great of a
I
situation.
feel like he's gonna ball.
I think so too. I'm trying to be pessimistic.
But yeah, I mean, Wagner and Levante, you do have that. Just worry that like they're gonna blow a hamstring, or this is gonna be it. Like they're gonna fall off a cliff. So I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be hesitant to draft them because they're both gonna be going in the third or fourth round still.
Yep.
And that's last year. Levante David was going in the like 7th or 8th.
Yeah, that's where you want him. You want him in the 7th or 8th. You don't want him in the 3rd or 4th.
Now it's just like, yeah.
Y'all don't look at my
I
fourth
just
round.
hate all these linebackers. Truly.
Don't look at my 4th round draft.
Levante David. Chris Shula was the
Hey, boy, just
pray.
Fingers crossed.
He was the pass rush coordinator and linebackers coach for the Rams. So it was just an internal promotion for
okay.
Shula.
That's good. Maybe
So
he doesn't.
I don't worry about that at all then.
Yeah, doesn't ruffle the feathers or anything.
Yeah, doesn't upset the apple cart.
Have you seen the amount of hires that have been made out of the Sean McVay Christmas tree of coaching?
Christmas tree of coaching.
It's insane. the
I
amount
did
of
see where
people.
there are 32 new
Ball
coordinators. Ball boys.
Ball boys in from
Yeah.
McVay thing. I'm about to be a
If you
head
just smell
coach in a couple years.
McVay's cologne, you're up for head coaching interviews. So let's move to the 4th round, and DJ Keltown kicks us off with Alex Highsmith, then Dre Greenlaw, Joey Bosa, DeForest Buckner, Jeffrey Simmons, Bobby Wagner, George Karloftis, Trayvon Walker, Uchenna Nwosu, Logan Wilson, Levante David, Frankie, Luvu rounds things out to Andrew at the 412. So let's just have the conversation, boys. Joey Bosa at the 403. I think 3 weeks after
piece of trash.
after I renounced him publicly on the podcast.
Bad heart.
Apologize
Bad
to
heart.
them. Look
Very
in
bad
there.
heart.
Was it just to keep him from me? Is that what you were doing? You knew that.
I mean, Joey Bosa, dual designation in the 4th round. I mean, I don't like Joey Bosa, but shoot, in the 4th round, that's a pretty nice value.
I was thinking we were gonna get like 6th round Joey Bosa. So I thought y'all were gonna be real scared of Joey Bosa.
No, because I knew you would snatch him up at the 405.
I was thinking about him. Josh has really been pissing me off in this one. I will
Look,
say.
I'm skewing towards the dual desi guys. I think that's
Fred
the
Warner.
cheat code on
Joey
and he did it
Bosa.
in the last one too. You took
Troy
Fred Warner
Anderson.
right in front of me.
Yep, right in front of your face. Well, you took
And he'll-
Aiden from me in the 1st round, so
No, I didn't know. I didn't take him from you. That's ballsy. 106, baby.
it was 108. It was 108.
Oh, 108.
Yeah.
Still though, I mean that's. I think a lot of people are gonna go linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm. It's an edge guy in the 1st round.
That's why I
I
thought
don't care where
I had
I'm
a
at.
chance.
It's edge guy.
Or
And-
dual. Give me dual.
That's why I thought I had a chance at him, because I thought maybe Tim goes at 107, Foye, and then maybe Johnny goes linebacker there at 109. So I was like, maybe I've got a chance at either Hutch or Hunter. But yeah, Josh Allen ends up being the consolation prize.
Dude, Aiden Hutchinson was on fire to end
Finished
the year.
with like 8 sacks in 4 games or something.
Yeah, carried it into the playoffs. I mean, he was unbelievable.
Electric. You
With
could
no
not
help.
have ended the
No
season
help.
better than Aiden
Got to figure
Hutchinson.
they get some help.
Yep.
Chop Robinson.
That'd be fun.
Let's go Chop. So yes, Joey Bosa, look, it's best ball too, so I don't have to actually make the start sit decisions when this guy sprains a big toe. But in the 4th round at 403, dual designation, yeah, that was just too good to pass up. I hate myself for it, but
But he's elite. When he's out there, he's elite. I mean, even last year, you look at the log, even like that half a season, and the snap percentage was also like super low. Like they were being very cautious. Like he was not right the entire year, but he still was putting up like really nice, weeks. He had like a 27-point game. He had like a 30-point game.
I want to see who their new defensive coordinator is.
So,
Oh my gosh, Joe Flacco actually won comeback player over DeMar Hamlin,
oh wow.
who came back to life. Like, what are we doing? Flacco was just old. Wow, that's
crazy.
very surprising.
I
So
wish
yeah,
they had a camera on DeMar.
yeah. Well,
Live shot.
probably best that they didn't. Jesse Minter, who I think was at Michigan, I'm pretty sure with Jim Harbaugh as the new defensive coordinator. So that doesn't worry me, but that is going to be. And then does Joey Bosa get cut? I think there's a very good chance one or both of those edge rushers gets cut this offseason
Yeah. But
because the Chargers are in cap hell.
Either way, Joey Bosa's I think he's worth it there in the 4th round.
Just wish it was you, don't you?
I was going to take him, I think.
Well, you ended up taking Jeffrey Simmons, so you went back-to-back defensive tackles.
Yeah, still feel fine about Jeffrey Simmons. I think, we expected him to go to another level this past year. Didn't quite see it, but I don't think that it's out of the range of possibilities that could happen next year. That he pops off and gives us like a double-digit sack season. So yeah, I'm still very much in on all those defensive tackles. Really, that like
They're all good buy lows.
Quentin Williams. I love that. You can get him in the 3rd round now.
Jones, Donald,
Jeffrey Simmons was still going in the 4th round, so I'm still keeping that alive.
carrying that torch.
Yeah, but I expect Dexter Lawrence to be a value in most drafts.
Well, let's talk about this because I'm always curious. Like, obviously, we're going, right to left here on the draft board. You had both the young guys, Karlaftis and Trayvon Walker. They're on the board available to you. Why defensive tackle and Simmons specifically versus those young guys?
Those guys are all close, man. I just like Simmons better. I just feel like out of that group, Simmons gives me the best chance to get 40. Like Karlaftis. I think Karlaftis. I think we love to see that he improved from year 1 to year 2.
And Trayvon took a step
did too.
as well.
Trayvon finished the year very well. Yeah, he had 10 sacks almost.
I think for me it would be the jump that Simmons needs to take to get to that elite tier is smaller than the jump that Walker and Karlaftis have to take.
Yes.
Both ascending players, but both not in the stratosphere that I think Simmons has flirted with. I don't think he's
Right.
quite achieved that kind of superstar, status yet
Right.
at the defensive tackle position, but I think he's knocked
on the
door.
verge of it.
He
right?
can get there.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, he's more polished, right? He's got more experience, and then he's an absolute specimen. Not that those guys aren't, but they're still just they're not fully developed.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons is about fully developed.
He's close. He's very close if
Yeah.
he's not already there, Bobo.
Sure.
So you went Levante David though.
Yeah.
4'11".
We'll ignore this.
No, we got to talk. We got to put it under
was
the
a busy
microscope now.
weekend. Yeah, it's just hard to look away from 2023. You got to think that I don't know what his contract looks like with Tampa Bay, but maybe they keep him and they let the boy walk. Devin White obviously.
The boy walk.
So it's
A little bit different than the actual quote.
It's gonna be Levante and Servassier, presumably.
That's Jason Light with the coach Todd Bowles. Let the boy walk. No, they will bring back Levante David.
kind of my thought.
If they go with this sort of get the band back together,
Yeah.
bring back Baker, bring back Mike Evans, bring back Levante David, I think they could realistically bring back everyone except for Devin White.
Yeah, no, I actually feel better about Levante more than I do about Bobby Wagner for whatever reason.
Wagner was the ADP. He was the LB7 off the board last year. And I kind of was paying attention to him too. I was like, man, if Wagner gets to me at the end of the 4th, that's going to be my selection. But
Yeah, he led the league in tackles.
Yeah.
You know,
that's kind of that AD or that, Myles Garrett type that you just ride forever.
It
He
is
was-
crazy though. These old ass linebackers. Man.
He was LB 14 in this draft. I just counted. So Bobby Wagner was at the 406.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. I
You know?
agree with
I don't know that I want him as an LB1.
But if they play the full season, that's a value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably.
You're just banking on, is he staying in Seattle, right? Is he,
There has been a lot of change there.
I know, and that's
Someone will give him a shot though.
Bobby
right? It's
Wagner.
Wagner.
is he's a pending free agent as well, isn't
Yeah,
he?
right.
He signed a
So-
1-year deal, I think.
Yep.
And
Same
you got
with Levante.
you got who is it coming in there? It's
Dude
Mike
from
yeah,
Baltimore.
Mike McDonald. So
Mhm.
that's very nice if he
Yeah.
indeed does get to stay there.
I feel like he'll want Wagner around.
You would think so. You'd think you'd want, he's a liability in coverage, but I mean, did he miss single digit tackles, I think, this year?
Because you are losing Jordan Brooks. You are probably losing Devin Bush.
Yep.
Do you want to completely
Cody
turn
Barton's
over
gone.
that LB core? Maybe you do, but
Yeah, I feel like you'd want to have someone that can understand the defense at least, and I feel like Bobby Wagner would be the best candidate.
he
It
may
is-
have to come back on a little bit of a discount.
Yeah.
But
It
But
is
he probably
interesting
would.
to see what a lot of these young coaches do. Like, so D'Amico Ryans last year brought in Denzel Perryman,
That
Blake
could be a spot
Cashman.
for Wagner.
could
you know?
could you see Patrick Queen end
Yeah.
up in Seattle.
It's
Follow
just-
Mike McDaniel there.
Yeah.
That make a lot of sense.
A lot of new coaches right
Bobby
now.
Wagner, Patrick Queen
Yep.
combo.
Be fun to see how these guys kind of set up their new franchise. Back to what Adam was saying, though, I agree with Jeffrey Simmons over Karlaftis and Trayvon Walker. It just seems like one of those guys will probably take a step in 2024. I just don't know who, and you would think that it would be the overall, number one pick in the NFL draft, Trayvon Walker, and he has looked better this year than he did last year. I just don't know that he's going to take like a monumental step for me in 2024. Are we going to look up and see Trayvon Walker have 15 sacks this season? Probably not. But I think Jeffrey Simmons could get to 15 sacks if that's what he, really wanted to do. So, anyways, back to that one. But yeah, let's get to the 501 here. So the first DB off
first
the board.
DB. And this was funny because I think this was a little bit of just Country Boy Swagger branding where he had Winfield in Madness, and that really helped take him over the top and get the dub. So I don't know how much of it was just like a thank you to Antoine Winfield, or maybe Andrew's just not afraid to go DB early. But yeah, let's talk about the 5th round. This will be the last one we kind of break down pick by pick. But you saw Winfield, Ed Oliver, Alex Singleton, Terrell Bernard, Sam Hubbard, Christian Wilkins, Aziz Al-Shair, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Carl Granderson, Tremaine Edmonds, Jonathan Grenard, and Big Bob Spillane at the 5-12 to DJ Keltown. So, Bobo, you went Ed Oliver, stacking him with Matabike as your second defensive tackle. Speak on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a D tackle guy, man. I think a lot of these deep tackles, because they are IDLs, they fall a little bit in the draft. They're not this kind of sexy name like a Brian Burns and a, Trayvon Walker. They're a little bit muddy. But, the other part that's fun about some of these guys is that with that interior defensive line play, they get the tackles too. So they don't have quite the floor that some of these edges have, and they might not have quite the ceiling also. But, I mean, Ed Oliver was fantastic last year. If you think about defensive tackles going into 2024 in terms of like dynasty, I think Ed Oliver is a top 5 defensive tackle, and to get him at the 502 to what is going to be a very similar role for him in 2024, I'm 100% fine with that one.
All right.
So you might hate it.
No, I think if you're looking
Josh hates
defensive
it.
tackle, I mean, next up was Christian Wilkins, and then Jalen Carter, Kalijah Cansey. I mean, I would definitely be taking Christian Barmore was up there in the 6th round. So I think Ed Oliver deserves to go before those guys. Addy, you had a beautiful pick there at 508 going with JOK, who, again, pay attention to the end of the season, folks, because this was one of the hottest linebackers. If you watch that playoff game with the Browns and Texans, I believe it was.
Yeah.
JOK was, I think, the highest scoring IDP from week 1 of the playoffs.
He was just really good the entire second half of the season. He was actually linebacker 2 in points per game, weeks 10 through 18, behind only Ernest Jones.
There you go.
People forget that, But yeah, I mean, getting him here in the 5th round, that is certainly not going to be something that happens probably much moving forward. I feel like he's going to be like a 3rd, 4th round pick once people kind of look back at the log and be like, oh my God, this guy
Was tearing
was
it up.
ridiculous. And
Yes.
also, like, the coaching staff was a big fan. I mean, you watch the Browns play, and this guy pops out. This was a guy that everyone was really excited about when he
just
came out of college. It just took
Earn
him,
more opportunity as the season went along.
and he was a little undersized.
Yep.
It took a little bit of time for him to develop, understand how to hit, how to take hits, and I mean, I think that he's one of the better young linebackers in the NFL at this point.
2024 is a contract year for JOK.
They're going to have a tough decision to make. I mean, I'd imagine they're going to want to maybe work out a deal with this guy. And
yeah, if you can re-sign him now, coming off like a good half of the season, I would rather do that than give him the chance to go out and have a great full season, and then you're going to have to pay him significantly more.
but he's crushed it, man.
There were the signs, prior to the end of the season where you see the play and you're like, oh, if he could put that together for a, length of time, that could be fun. But yeah, JOK, we could look up and, he's a top 10 linebacker at the end of 2024.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's well within his range of outcomes. So, yeah, I went with Tremaine Edmonds. We're kind of getting into that linebacker territory where it's like, I think a lot of the guys are gone at this point in terms of like the inside linebackers that we're excited about. So
Right. And
Edmonds is fine.
And when
I
I'm
didn't
going,
love this pick.
When I'm going with JOK, like I'm looking at upside at that point, right? That was my first linebacker I took. So I was like, I need to make a splash here. And I feel like JOK is someone that can. I mean, you look at the guys around him, Azeez Al-Shaair, Devin Lloyd, Tremaine Edmonds, like you just mentioned, Robert Spillane, like all those guys are fine, but you feel like they're maxed out at like 14, 15 points per game, right? JOK, like I just mentioned, he put up 19 points per game weeks 10 through 18,
He could have a season where he puts up 16, 17
Yes,
points per game the
absolutely.
whole year.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that's going to be next year, but I don't think we're going to see much of him in the 5th round. I think you're going to have to take him,
Yeah, that's a steal.
yeah. 4th
That's just
round.
one of those where everyone's like, oh my gosh, we forgot that JOK was still on the board. Because the sleeper ADP is like slightly better at the top,
It's
but
not.
it falls apart pretty quickly. I mean, at least it's not like KJ Wright, number 3, and Richard Sherman, number 2.
And I will say, guys, if I know this is going to sound, like I'm just tooting my own horn here, but if you're not subscribed, you're not in these ranks, you're not going to win. You will not win these drafts. Like you're just
You
not
have to
going
have a list of players. You have to be able to. And Dynasty Logic, Tim Kirkland gave us a great tip. Starring those players as you go through and have these drafts allows you to more quickly pull players out to fill out your queue. You're not looking
Yes.
through mountains of trash.
Yeah,
I mean-
pay attention to who's in your draft room. Look at who someone else's that you respect is drafting and star their players that they're drafting.
When
You
I
know
was
what
in
mean?
when I was in Best Ball 2 and we're like 3 rounds into that at this point, I pulled up Best Ball 1 to see like, all right,
Yeah.
where are these players going off the board, right? You have to have some frame of reference. Best Ball rankings will be coming here very soon to our paid supporters at theidpshow.com. Rookie ranks drop tomorrow, Friday, around lunchtime.
Best ball, I mean, you can get in them now. Like if you,
Yeah, they're available
can
in the
you can get
spreadsheet.
them in spreadsheets. I mean,
We'll,
there's
we'll have them sent out through the website here very
the top
soon.
200 are really good already. I mean, and they're just going to keep getting tighter and tighter. Tighten up.
Tighten the hell up, as they like to say.
Let the boy walk.
That's going to be the description of the
I
episode.
have no idea what y'all are talking about.
Oh man, it's an all-time quote.
Okay.
It's from a movie, right?
It's from Eastbound and Down. It's,
Yeah.
Oh.
Let the boy watch.
Yeah,
It's the Ashley Schaefer, I think. Yeah.
yeah, just a fantastic
Great
scene.
show.
Yeah.
underrated. Every season just lights out.
A lot of quotes from that show that we
good
say
show.
to each other on the
Steven
reg.
Janowski.
Oh my god,
One of the best show characters of all time.
all time.
So good.
Let's move to the 6th round and beyond here because we're cresting the hill at about 50 minutes, so we don't have to go round by round all the way through. But who are some of y'all's favorite picks from the 6th round here? I did like Andrew snagging Devin Lloyd at the 607. I thought that was one of the few linebackers left that I was excited about. I ended up
liked you getting Christian Harris.
yeah, Christian Harris at 603.
I like Jason getting Kalijah Cansey.
Yeah.
I like Johnny getting Jalen Carter too. That was sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
This was a fun round. I liked Tim getting Thule
Yeah.
Opu.
Nope, but close. It's a good effort.
I liked getting Jordan Brooks as my linebacker too here, at 605.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I liked all these picks. These are good picks. Josh
Christian
Sweat.
Harris.
I like Josh Sweat. I think having Fangio there is going to do wonders for Reddick and Sweat.
Look what it was doing
Nolan
for
Smith.
Chubb and Jalen Phillips.
all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone
Right?
they plugged in there.
Yeah, Van
balled.
Ginkel, the next
Yeah.
guy on the list.
So that was a really good round,
Christian Harris could be really sneaky. We could look up and again say, "Oh my gosh, he was a top 10 LB on the season."
He's like JOK light for me as
Yeah.
far as like
He can pop
guys
off.
who came along slowly,
Yeah.
and it was a little dicey there at times, but finished the season. I mean, I'd put him, Ernest Jones, and Christian Harris up there as far as like finish the season about as hot as you possibly could, including the playoffs.
Yeah, his last game, 43.4 points. Victory scoring 8 tackles, a sack, and a pick 6, right?
He was phenomenal.
So he was really good. But yeah, I like that too. I mean, you do worry a little bit that maybe they bring in some competition. There's a lot of linebackers are going to be out there in free agency.
They probably will.
They probably will.
Because they're losing, I think Cashman's a free agent. Is he
Yep.
one of those weird like ERFA type of things?
I think he's gone. I
Earned
think
run
gone.
average.
Okay.
it'll be him and Henry T. And I think Perriman's gone too.
Perryman's gone as well. Corey Littleton's gone.
Yeah.
So it'll be
So they'll bring in somebody.
Henry To'oTo'o and Christian Harris. They'll bring in a vet.
Yes.
especially with how many guys are out
Bobby
there.
Wagner's going to be a Texan.
But I mean, Christian Harris, was awesome to finish the year. So I mean,
What about Levante David there?
Oh, that'd
that'd
be
be
fun.
sick.
That'd be very fun.
Yes, sir.
I was trying to think if there was anyone from San Fran. Well, Aziz Al-Shair is going to be. He was
Yeah.
on a 1-year deal with the Titans, right?
What did
Is
he do?
he,
Tear an
is he
ACL?
set? Is he set to be a free agent? Did he pop an ACL?
I thought he did late in the season.
Oh,
Maybe I'm
no.
thinking somebody else. Could be wrong. I think I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Don't-
vet
don't
that.
listen to me.
Vet yourself.
Yes, please.
No. Yeah,
no.
because they're going to bring somebody in, and if you want to connect the dots with who coaches have played with previously. That's always a good kind of gauge of where they're starting to look. The NFL's a relationship business, right?
Yeah.
That's why we see, especially in coach hiring season, a lot of these same guys get recycled because it's all about relationships. So, let's move to the 7th round, though. And we've got some fun picks here as well. So Chase Young kicks us off. I'm sorry.
Byron.
Byron Young kicks us off at the 701. And then Bobo takes Bryce Huff at the 702.
Oh, you son of a gun. Didn't want anyone else to get him, did you?
Adam's just getting all his precious little sleepers just taken right out from under him.
Explain yourself.
He wasn't fixing the last.
No, I mean, he is going to settle around that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Bobby's going ahead and jumping the gun. Like, we're going to go ahead and put him in round 7.
Sure.
But he'll settle around 6 or 7, I think. I think you can expect him to have, the best year of his career, potentially, you know. 50 tackles, maybe 15 sacks. Who knows? I mean, if someone really lets this guy loose and lets him get 70% of the snaps next year, it could be bonkers, dude.
Yeah, he could be the one. And we all kind of are in on the Bryce Huff breakout. You know, if you're paying attention, we can see it coming. It's just a matter of price, right? What if he surges up into like the 5th round?
Yeah, I think it could get there.
That's a little spicy.
That's spicy.
I don't know that I want 5th round
spicy.
Bryce Huff.
I feel like Huff is going to only increase in ADP.
Yeah.
As the season approaches, he's going to be more in that Sam Hubbard, Christian Wilkins kind of category.
I think you're right.
No, Aziz Al-Shair is fine.
He is.
He had
I looked at him,
163 total tackles, 2 sacks, 4 passes defended, 1 fumble across
know what I was
17
thinking.
games with the Titans.
Yeah,
That's
he was
good.
good. He was good. But they'll probably try and bring him. Well, I don't know.
That I could see him in Houston because
that'd be nice.
You played with D'Amico Ryans in San
Oh,
Francisco. He'll be cheap, probably. He may get more than what he got in Tennessee, which I think was like 1 year, $7 million or something.
Yeah.
Someone else that could be sneaky that I was thinking about, Orrin Burks.
Yep.
That third linebacker there in San Fran, I think he's a good linebacker, just like similar situation to Aziz,
Yep.
buried behind 2 guys. I think he's an interesting little piece. Like, what if D'Amico Ryan brought him in?
You said a name earlier, Isaiah McDuffie, too. Kind
Yeah.
of came on hot there towards
Yep.
the end of the season. And I don't know what Devondre Campbell's contract looks like. Is he still
He's there
pretty...
1 more year, I believe.
So there's
there.
no way...
I don't think the dead money clears out until 2025.
I got you.
So, but the 7th round here, we see guys like Kaiser White, Nakobe Dean, very good value to Lauren at 705. Nakobe Dean's just kind of forgotten about because he really was not relevant.
Yeah, we got to talk about
I thought Kaiser White was a good one too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was fantastic.
He'll have a
last
job.
year.
He'll
Yeah,
have a
I
job
think so.
somewhere. Ivan Pace going at the 706. And then Addy, you just sort of went against the grain. And we had to call, potentially call the police to make sure you hadn't been abducted and someone was drafting from your phone. Kyle Hamilton at the 708.
We know Cy was sitting
Explain
at the
yourself.
house giggling.
Explain yourself.
Hey, got a Zach.
That's it, folks. That's all you're going to get out of him.
You really do, though. I mean, there are DB targets. I don't think you don't want to go into a draft and be like, I'm only drafting DBs the final 11 round. You don't want to have your mind made up, dude. And also, this is, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this was a group of like-minded people. We're all doing this same shit. We're all going to be doing the same stuff at the end. I got to get a little creative here. And so I don't mind spending up on DBs if it's the right DBs. There's like, and also, y'all have fun figuring out these safeties.
Yeah,
enjoy it.
It's gonna be a bloodbath.
Enjoy it. Enjoy banking on the Josh Metellus, the Cameron Bynums, the Reed Blankenship's. Enjoy it. Have fun. No, thank you.
He changes tune.
Yeah, so this isn't going to happen. I'm not going to be able to get Kyle Hamilton in the 7th round anywhere. So this is going to be a rare thing. Okay. But I think he's like, there's a certain point where it's like you can't let a guy like that slip.
What happened is Adam built his campaign the entirety of 2023. It was all for this draft.
It was all gaslighting. Sound off in the comments.
No, here's
don't
the
sit
thing.
for DB.
Here's the
thinks
thing.
Kyle Hamilton or Joey Bosa is dead to me in the 4th round is the bigger betrayal of who we are as people.
Here's the thing y'all are missing. I got to keep Daniel Keltown.
Daniel Keltown. He's Daniel now.
David. I gotta keep David Keltown on his toes.
That's right, you do.
For year 3, dog. We proved that's fine. That works. I did it. We did it. We did it all 11 times. We cashed
Now
out of the 20.
Addy wants to see, can I go DB early?
I'm gonna
trends?
do some. Again, if it's the right targets, and I think there are like 5 defensive backs that you want to target.
Winfield, Hamilton,
Derwin James, Witherspoon, and then
Brian Branch.
You went
Brian Branch.
Yeah.
Brian Branch. I love Brian Branch. And then maybe like who do you want after that? Honestly, who do you feel great about after that?
I went Jesse Bates in the 12th, and I'm like,
he's in range too.
He's a huge regression candidate for me, but it's like I might as well jump on this train too, and get me a safety.
ADP is going to say Jaquan Brisker, Kyle Duggar, Cam Bynum,
Those guys are not on the level.
Jalen Petre, Javon Holland, Nate Hobbs.
We just saw Petre go
Chauncey
in the
Gardner-Johnson.
15th round.
That's the thing. You're still having to spend one of these picks. Now I'm
You're set.
I'm free falling now, baby. I'm having a great time. You guys are having to get these defensive, but you guys are having to
complete
How do you
ropey-dope.
feel?
you guys are having
I'm
to talk
worried.
yourself into these
I'm not-
ass safeties that
I'm
you
not
don't.
worried.
That you have again. Free agency is going to be wild. There's going to be all kinds of competition coming in for these mediocre safeties. I'm sitting here with Caham, Witherspoon, and Branch.
You're
No one's
forgetting
touching me.
that Sauce Gardner is still available, as well as
That's a good one.
let's see, Jeremy Chin.
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Jalen
But we're going to
Ramsey.
get these. We're going to still get the good cornerbacks late.
Yeah.
You still got to pick the right guys. You know, it's one thing to do the strategy and stuff, but a lot of people did the strategy last year and they didn't win. You know, you still have to pick
Yeah,
the
you
right
gotta pick
guys.
good players.
There are difference makers at defensive back. There's some
There
I
are.
don't give a damn. I don't give a damn about most of them, but there are those ones that I named. I care about them, and if you guys are going to let them slide,
Where does the
because you're
slide
committed.
to? Where does the slide to? Let's say you're in a normal draft, not a sharp room where you have to zag. Kyle Hamilton or Winfield is sitting there in the blank round. You're pulling the trigger.
6th round.
6th round is what I was thinking too.
6th round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at like, okay, guys going in the so here's in the 5th round. Ed Oliver, Singleton, Bernard, Hubbard, Wilkins, Alshire, JOK, Granderson, Edmonds, Grenard, Spillane. I would have Winfield over a lot of those guys. And That's the 5th round.
It's very similar to the guys in the 7th. Owe, Kazir White, Nakobe Dean.
Are you
Ivan Pace.
kidding me? You want Kyle Hamilton over all of those dudes?
I did. When you took him, I literally thought, I was like, dang, that's
Here's the thing.
smart.
When you took Huff, that's when I was like, all right, these MFers are they're gonna take all the sleepers. I'm not gonna be able to get any of these guys that I want when I think I'm, because I was getting sniped like constantly.
It's like if
constantly.
you put your ranks out, everyone just knows your secrets.
I'm at a tough spot in these drafts.
But then you win a lot of drafts, though.
I did all right. I'm not worried about it, but I understand.
He's free falling out into nothing.
We're all
folks.
after him. This is 11 guys against
I mean,
Adam.
Tim Kirkland said, I am in here to tip Addy's picks.
Adam's trying to keep Daniel Jones or Daniel Keltown on
He is
his
now
toes.
Daniel Jones. Sorry, David.
Sorry, it's a good article though.
Yeah.
we got your name right in it. We did.
Did we?
We
I have to
did.
go check.
Yeah.
Joshy, I liked your pick there in the 7th. Troy
Thank you.
Anderson,
Troy Anderson.
seemed like
That
a
was
good
a good one.
value.
Forgotten pick. I will say, I am all in on, if you look at my team, I'm all in on these defenses that are getting an upgrade in terms of play callers, right? So I went with Troy Anderson. 2 rounds later, Arnold Ebiketie.
Yeah.
Right? I love this Falcons defense. Give me some pieces. I went Grady Jarrett in the 17th round. So I'm stacking, because I know you were not a huge like Raheem Morris fan because it
No.
was a little bend, don't break. That defense was terrible.
Yep.
That defense at the beginning of the year, we were laughing about it. We said this might be the worst defense we've ever seen. And Raheem Morris coached that unit up. And so I am very excited for these IDPs in Atlanta. Another team that I think is going to get a huge glow up is Washington.
Yeah.
That's why I went with Jonathan Allen at the 803, because you got Dan Quinn coming in from Dallas. I think that's a huge upgrade over Ron Rivera and who was there last year. So I'm playing a little bit of that game of like, not only players do I think that can ascend, but players that are getting a big time upgrade in terms of play calling.
No, I agree, because I kind of thought the same thing. After the Huff pick, I thought, all right, Malcolm Kuntz is probably going to be a reach here in the 8th round, but what if what we saw at the end of last season continues for Kuntz? You know, Devin White, I had seen him fall far enough. A guy that was drafted in the 1st round in 2023, he's going to have a job next year, and he's going to get some PT, so we'll see what we have with him. Willie Gay, Aziz Ojolari, Nick Herbig. I took my boy Isaiah Simmons there in the 13th.
That was bad. I'm not going to give you that one.
Dual designation, LB and DB. I'm still on board with Simmons. Y'all can hate him if you want to.
I'm okay with
Might
it.
work
I like
out.
him in like the 28th round.
No. My
Not
boy
the
Simmons is going to be
13th
fine.
round.
Nolan Smith, Henry 2020, Mike Dana, and then Afedi Melifonwu there in the 17th. So, yeah, I know, it gets tough. You know, that 10th round through the 20th is a tough stretch of just like, who are you going to throw a dart on that you think could maybe do something different than they did last year? You know, who could we see get some more playing time? Who could we see actually convert some of the pressures to sacks?
That's where I went.
Who's the different defensive coordinators that are going to be there?
I went with guys that I expect to get more opportunity in the 10th and 11th with Will McDonald and Drew Sanders. Both of those picks could flop, but I'm anticipating in New York, Carl Lawson's out the door, Bryce Huff is out the door. I think John Franklin Myers could be out the door, and you could be looking at Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald, and I do like Jermaine Johnson. I think he's worthy of that 4th, 5th round pick. You know, we talked about him as a little bit of a reach there in the, what was it, the 2nd round to Eric. 3rd, 4th, 5th round, I think is fair, but I think I'd rather have Will McDonald in the 10th at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and then Jesse Bates, Devondre Campbell, like I mentioned, just trying to grab a piece of that Green Bay
Drew
linebacking
Sanders.
core. Drew Sanders, yeah. I mean, I think...
Did you guys realize that Drew Sanders was exclusively an edge to finish the season, right?
Was he really?
Yeah, he was not an so to start the year he was, you know, like Josie Jewell, Alex Singleton, he was with those guys, was actually in the room with those guys. They actually moved him to the edge room.
The edge room, okay.
Yeah, so he was and he literally just played on the edge.
He's
I
dual
wonder,
desi in here too.
he is dual desi. I wonder if they were just trying to get him some run.
Maybe so. We
Because
talked about that.
You're not getting on the field over Singleton and Josie Jewell. Are one or both of those guys set to be free agents? I think Jewell is a free agent.
Jewell is.
So I
Singleton's
think-
going to be there.
I think you could see Singleton and Sanders in the linebacking core.
From a risk perspective, what did y'all think about Jalen Phillips there, 1104?
I liked it. I was, you know, looking on his gram. I was looking on.
He's out of the walking boot, right?
I was looking on the Twitters, and I was definitely thinking about him hard.
It's such a risk because there is a chance that you get 4 or 5 games from this guy.
Yeah, but you know, I was also looking at Shaq Barrett, who a guy much older, a lot less explosive than Jalen Phillips.
I'd rather take Phillips.
Had a pretty good
but
comeback
I'm just
season.
saying.
Oh,
he
yes.
tore his Achilles.
Gotcha, yeah.
He tore his Achilles, and he did come back the following year, and he did put up some. He fizzled down the stretch, but he did put up some games. You're like,
games.
okay. I mean, he put up like 25 points.
Just
this week.
being so late. I mean, you know, we've seen some crazy injury recoveries. We thought
tough.
for sure Jordan Brooks was going to start
Right.
on the pup.
I would
And
expect him to start slow, but I think he's someone that you could have for the stretch run, you know, and maybe he looks more himself for that stretch run.
Would I be surprised if he, in the stretch run, is a contributor for IDP and for the Dolphins? Not at all.
Right.
I don't think you're going to see him till Halloween. I just don't think he's going to be on
But that's
the field.
okay. I mean, you can afford to.
And if
can
you get him
afford
after
to-
Halloween,
Yeah,
I'm in.
yeah. So I'm fine with that there. I think he'll probably go a little higher than that. Actually, I think he'll probably people start talking themselves into it. Same
I
stuff.
believe is Bradley Chubb still on the board?
Yes,
I think
Bradley
he's-
Chubb
I
is.
think he's still out
His
there.
is a little different, I think.
Was his Achilles or
his
ACL?
was ACL.
His was bad.
His was later
His was also
too.
at like the last week of the season.
Last week of
maybe
the
like
season.
week 17.
17, I think it was.
It
Yep.
was a pretty rough
It was a bad
injury.
one. He was
Yeah.
screaming, and also he's already had so many injuries that he's dealt with, and he's older.
It's
and,
one of the ones that, like, I'm not sure if we see him in 2024.
yeah, that's one that you may not I feel worse about him than I do.
I would take him in like the late 20s just to have if he's still there. I don't know that he will be. Somebody probably takes a stab at him here in the
Yeah.
early 20s, but
Maybe so, but yeah, it's. You guys want to talk about some of the? I guess we need to talk about some of the guys I drafted. I guess.
yes, please, Eddie.
No, we're done.
That's enough out of you.
I took Trenton Simpson in the 8th round.
That was nice.
Again, playing upside. You know, I started the linebacker stuff a little late. My first one was in the 5th round, so I think Trenton Simpson slides right into that Patrick Queen role. I think we could see him easily finish inside the top 24 next season. And then I went Witherspoon in the 9th round. Again, just no one was drafting these defensive backs. We get 4 points for PDs in this league.
We do indeed.
Players like Witherspoon, man, like that's the type of guys you want. I mean,
Devon Witherspoon, if you're new to the show.
you look at the log last year, he had a 20-point game, a 57-point game, 17-point game, 11-point game.
Was that 57-point game the second highest behind Khalil Mack's like
I think so.
81-point game?
I believe so. That was a ridiculous. That
Out
was
of a
prime time.
cornerback. That's
20,
wild.
20 points against Washington, 23 against the Rams, 12 against San Fran, 12 against Dallas. I mean, the guy
And
was
again,
just good.
You get a defensive play caller upgrade, I think, and Mike McDaniel coming over from Baltimore.
But just the type of player that he is. I mean, just a physical slot corner that makes plays. That he was fantastic in his first year. Like I was so impressed with him.
16.2 points per game.
He was awesome. So he's someone that like if he's going to be there in the ninth round, I'm going to take him.
Zaven Collins in the 15th round.
How about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Still a believer, huh?
I mean, it's year 4. You know, I'm kind of crossing my fingers. They move him back to, you know,
LB.
Yeah, just a
No
traditional.
Kaiser, no Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, I would love
Who's
that.
there?
I don't know. Josh Woods.
yeah.
Well,
maybe,
who we talking
or
about? The
Owen
rookie.
Popo.
Owen Papo.
They'll bring in some people, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, he does. You know, I feel like he's still going to get 50% of the snaps. And also, if you look at the PFF stuff, like he wasn't that bad. Like the pressure rate was, I think, like 10%. So it was fine, and that was his first year doing it. So I'm not totally going to write the guy off. I mean, I think he could improve. We could look up, and he has, 7 to 8 sacks. That's fine. That's fine in the 15th round.
I'll just be so curious to see where they stick him. If they keep him on the edge or move him back to linebacker.
Yeah, but either way, I think he's going to get 50% of the snaps. If he stays on the edge, if they move him back to off ball, I mean, we're golden.
I could also see them just cutting him loose.
Yeah.
Trading him, getting a 3rd, 4th round pick or something.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I just thought at that point it was worth the risk.
Yeah.
Um,
I think he's a talented player. I think he just needs a fresh start. I think he needs to go somewhere else with a team that has a clear idea of what to do with this guy.
yeah, I took Brian Branch in the 11th. I mean, I love him. I think he's awesome. He had some monster weeks. I took Baron Browning before him. Kind of same thing, he's always crushed it from like a pressure rate standpoint. This will be his 4th year, I think, and it's a contract year. So we've seen
Love
that.
the contract
we've seen
year
that work
narrative.
out a lot
We'll
of
probably
times.
be talking about him.
So I like that. I took Leonard Williams in the 12th. I took Leo Chenal in the 13th. Leonard Williams, I think a lot of people want to get really cute, later in the drafts and they swing for upside. I think you need to not do that. I think you need to take security and safety and like guys that are going to have roles. Like Leonard Williams, I think Seattle definitely wants to bring this guy back. They paid a second round to get him. They have to. Like
Yeah.
they've sunk too much into him to not let him.
The only thing that may be like, well, it's a new coach,
Yeah.
right? I think the new coach just may be like, I don't care what you guys paid for him. Now, Leonard Williams is a good player. I think Mike McDaniel's going to want to have
think he'd be
Leonard
great
Williams there. Yes,
I think
I
he'd be
agree.
a great fit there. So I expect him to have this is a guy that was really, really good for
4th overall pick in the NFL draft, I believe.
He's been good
Wow.
for a long time. We could see him easily pop off and have a, top 5 defensive tackle season. So I like that there in the 12th. Leo Chenal, like I mentioned, again, just swinging for upside. I feel
Willie
like
Gay gone,
Willie
Drew
Gay
Tranquil gone.
gone. Leo Chenal was the best graded linebacker there.
Do you think
in
it's
Kansas City.
him and Nick Bolton
I
like
think
it
so.
is with Trenton Simpson and
think so.
Roquan Smith?
This will be year 3 for Leo Chenal. I mean, I think we're going to see a much larger role for Chenal, and he's someone that is a playmaker and can have you these spike weeks for you. So, Brian Brissy in the 14th round, I think that was
Cheeky.
a little bit right there, but I like him a lot, man, and I thought he was impressive in his first year. A pretty good pass rusher for a defensive tackle. Should have loads of opportunity in year 2. And then doing some digging and stuff, like he had a couple sacks come back due to penalty. So I mean, he really could have had like 6.5 as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love all these rookie defensive tackles.
yeah,
I think this is a loaded class.
And again, it's sure he's just someone that maybe that looks sexy right there, but it's not. It's really not. You got to expect that this guy's he already played 50% of the snaps as a rookie, so you got to expect him to do at least that in year 2 and probably improve on the stat line. So that's the thought process. Right
the Saints are going to be, I mean,
bad.
They're going to be bad, and they may have to finally just bite the bullet and shed tons of cap. So it may be like Brian Brissy and Pete Warner and
I thought Pete Warner was a really nice value, even though we talk about Stinky Pete all the time.
I know. I wanted to bring that up because I did not like Andrew's 8th round pick, Micah McFadden at the 8-12. That's too rich for me.
Right.
But you follow that up with Pete Warner in the 10th and EJ Speed.
Oh, beautiful.
At 1101.
Those are probably 2 of the best linebacker value picks we've had.
I think EJ Speed is going to be rising because, I mean, guys, I'm telling you, I don't think the Colts are going to invest this draft or the draft capital or salary cap space into linebacker. I think they're going to roll with Zaire and EJ Speed. Maybe they draft someone in the later rounds to have some backups for those guys, but I think it's going to be Zaire and I think it's going to be EJ Speed. And who do we see ball out at the end of the season?
Yes.
It was EJ Speed, not Zaire Franklin.
Speed was great. And maybe I'm being too optimistic about Pete Warner because I did look at the log and like the snaps were a little sus. Like they were like in the 60% range.
But he may be the only guy there.
Right. Demario Davis is 35. Like Pete Warner is like this is his 3rd year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, let's give him a little bit of time. I mean, he got familiarity with the system, so love crushing that word.
I was going to say, I was going to compliment you on it, but I didn't want to get in your head if it came up later again in the episode. So, yeah, I love that pick. I'm just kind of scanning through here to see. I will say, I was in the 8th round. I was really back and forth. If Yaya Diaby had a dual designation. He does not. He is only a linebacker in Sleeper, which I imagine has to change at some point this offseason. He would have been my pick at 803. I think Yaya Diaby is legit.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I like him and Cansey both to improve in year 2. Yeah, looking at some of the picks I really liked. I liked Andrew Preston in the 12th round taking Alex Wright. If you look at Alex Wright, the way he finished the season, really, really good. He had, I believe it was 4 sacks over his last 4 games to finish out the regular season. 17-point game, 16-point game, 15-point game, 25-point game. That's how he finished the season. And then, Zadarius Smith is going to be gone next year. So I feel like, Alex Wright, this will be his 3rd year. I feel like he's going to have a chance at, probably getting 50% of the snaps at least. It'll be him and Obo. So I like that pick quite a bit. That annoyed me a little bit. The Leonard Floyd pick really annoyed me in the 13th round.
I was gonna say, where did I remember Samson Ebukam went off the board, and that was a very nice pick because this is the format where you want to take those Colts edge rushers because
he was 11th maybe.
Yeah, he was not. You don't want to have these guys in rostered leagues because they're just going to rotate between Quiddy and Dio and Samson Ebukam. Remember, Ebukam got a 3-year, $27 million deal, I think it was, from the Indianapolis Colts. So dude is going to be there at least for 2024, and I think it's going to be him and Quiddy Pay and Dio Odangbo. I don't think you're going to see a lot of turnover in this Colts defense. Grover Stewart's a free agent. Julian Blackman, Kenny Moore. I think we bring back a lot of those guys, Bobo. So I was a big fan of the Ebukam pick.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Quiddy Pay went 709. Your boy, I just saw.
Where was Ebukam at? Where did he go?
I'm still looking for him.
Ebukam went in the 10th. Andrew Preston, 1007.
Yeah, there you go.
And then Dio went 14.6.
Oh, AJ Epinesa went 1008. I liked that pick.
Yeah, you're a big fan of Epinesa. Is he a free agent? Pending
Yes.
free agent?
Yes.
Potentially having a little glow up. I went with the Addy sleeper of Dante Fowler in the
I didn't like that one bit.
15th round.
That
Dual
was
designation.
Not nice of you at all.
Potentially a Jadeveon Clowney kind of mercenary landing somewhere and getting some run.
Yeah, you're welcome for that.
I think Clowney's still out there, isn't he? Has he been scooped up
got
yet?
scooped up.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, I like the Leonard Floyd pick a lot in the 13th round. That was 1307. Leonard Floyd, guys, he has, look at the last 4 years of sacks, 10 and a half in 2023, 9 in 2022, 9 and a half in 2021, 10 and a half in 2020.
He had 10.5 this year.
Yes.
Wow.
Dude just is almost a lock for double-digit sacks.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's someone's going to pick him up. He's going to do the same thing again.
What about Mele Kaliki Hudson in the 15th round?
Yeah.
to Lauren?
I love
Shout out Lauren.
We
Lauren
kind of
is absolutely in the sheets.
Yes, he is a freak in the sheets, as we know. Servassier Dennis, 14th round. That is interesting to me if we see, which I think is almost a given at this point, Devin White out the door. Levante David, if he's out the
Yeah.
door and Bucks go full rebuild,
Yeah.
Servassier Dennis could be surging into the 10th, 11th round,
I hope he does. man.
maybe even higher.
Yeah, with a name like that,
He got
man,
to.
we-
Let's
we
get this
need-
guy up
we
in
need
the
it.
9th or 10th round.
Let's see. Yeah, I really love that Clicky Hudson pick, though. I mean, there's a real chance that he could have a role next year.
Because those are the ones that I'm willing to take chances on, right?
Yes.
Like,
If it pans out, that's a league winner, right?
I think when do you want to take swings? Because you mentioned not wanting to take swings in kind of these middle rounds. So where do you want to take swings? Or if you do want to take swings in the mid rounds, who are the guys that you're willing to take a chance on?
I'm honestly not taking a lot of swings.
You're not taking swings in the mid rounds.
I'm just trying
early to mid rounds.
I'm really not. I'm looking at the value. Like I'm looking at. I'm in my ranks all the time, but I'm looking at like who's being overlooked, who's falling to me. Like, and that's led to so far. That's it seems like it's going to lead to me getting a lot of like Aaron Donald in the third. I plan on getting a decent amount of JOK this year if he's going to be there in the 4th and 5th.
I think the first guy that you took a quote unquote gamble on would be Trenton Simpson at 805.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's
so.
an educated guess, right?
That's my linebacker 3.
Yes.
So I guess around that point, right? Like the first 7 picks, I'm gonna be just
Next up would be 1308, Leo Chenal. You basically said, let me slot in 2 linebackers that I think are going to ascend to LB2 roles.
is that big of a gamble, really?
Not really. I think it's an educated. That's what I kind of wanted to get at is I'm willing, Bobo, to take the shot in those middle rounds if I see a clear path to some sort of relevance, right? I want to see a path. And yeah, that path could change depending on what happens in free agency and the draft, but we're drafting in the beginning of February. So I want to go certainty, and then mid rounds, I want to play the game of who got the upgrade, who is losing the veteran ahead of them. They have the path to ascend. That's the kind of guys I'm willing to take a shot on.
Do y'all feel like mixing your teams full of you take a Nick Herbig, but you also take a Leonard Williams, or do you feel like you take 2 gambles, or you feel like you take 2 locks?
I prefer if I don't mind what you said first, the Herbig with the Leonard Williams. I think that's
a
good.
little bit of both.
Because there's a world where if something happens to Alex Highsmith, if something happens to TJ Watt, like Herbig will ball out.
Yep.
He'll get over 10 sacks. And so yes,
But you want to kind of take the assumed risk with also the little bit more guarantee of 8 sack season from Leonard Williams.
I don't want to get like silly. I don't want to get silly and just
boom or bust.
like where this guy has to break out based on where I'm taking it.
I don't want to have a team full of has to happen.
Yes.
This has to happen kind of guys because it's not going to happen. Threading that kind of needle is very difficult. I'd say if I'm going to take chances in those mid rounds, I'm probably going to stack in a little bit of certainty to kind of hedge my bets a little bit. I want a bit of a floor.
Something I was thinking about that you got me onto. So Zaire Franklin goes 210 to Evan Ringler, whereas EJ Speed goes 1101 to Country Boy Swagger. So it almost maybe would make sense to think about teams positionally and think like, all right, am I really about to take a Zaire here at 210 when I could just leave EJ Speed in my queue until the 11th round? Almost think about it in terms of like NFL team wise, and kind of make the ADP decision for you. I'm not saying that Zaire was a bad pick there, but EJ Speed value wise in the 11th is an absolute slam dunk.
You just need to be thinking of every single you need to think about every situation and like every single risk that comes with a certain player. Like I'm thinking about a player like Zaire Franklin versus Logan Wilson. A guy like Zaire Franklin's going ahead of Logan Wilson in drafts. And then look at those two situations. I see Zaire Franklin as a much riskier linebacker moving forward than I do Logan Wilson. Logan Wilson is locked in, secured there. Zaire Franklin kind of started dwindling down the stretch as far as production goes.
Yep.
I mean, also it's like he's not someone that was highly drafted.
don't
Like
think he's
we
elite
see this
either.
happen literally all the time with
This is-
linebackers. We just
I
saw it
think-
happen with Shaq Leonard.
I think it's contract year for
You know?
both Zaire and for EJ Speed, I believe.
Yeah.
I think
And I
they have
mean-
1 year left.
And I like Zaire Franklin. He's been awesome. I don't
One-
send the
one of-
pitchforks.
Yeah, one of the bigger surprises for
Yeah.
us, because I think we all were like, yeah, Zaire, whatever, and he balled this year. I mean, he
Right.
faded down the stretch, but still.
Again, I faded him last year because it began. I just think there's a little bit of risk associated with Zaire, whereas I don't see that risk with as far as like playing time, which is what is so important to me at this point in the season when we're drafting.
I'm looking at the arbitrage play too of like, give me the guy like we talked about, Jermaine Johnson in the 2nd or 3rd versus Will McDonald in the 10th or 11th. Same thing with like a Zaire Franklin versus EJ Speed, right?
Yeah.
I just want the guy that the market sees as being significantly different
Yeah.
in terms of like potential output, but in reality, they are much, much closer than what the market is implying.
Yeah.
I'll capture that value all day long because I love Jermaine Johnson. But if I can go another direction in those early rounds and get a guy who could be 70 to 80% or shoulder to shoulder alongside Jermaine Johnson in 2024, give me that.
I think the drafts are different this year, though. I don't think you can just copy and paste what you did last year.
No, you've got to evolve.
I really don't think that, I did preach about just waiting to the end to do the defensive back stuff. I mean, but everyone's going to do that now, and again, I think you have to you got to identify the players you have to leave your drafts with.
Yeah.
And you got to get those guys over and over and over again. Like that's what we did last year with something like that's why I did so well is because I had a shit ton of Khalil Mack and like these guys like all these defensive backs,
Jalen Phillips,
all these guys that just balled out. And I mean, and so there is a bit of like you can put yourself in the best position by drafting the right way where you know where the value is going to be in the drafts, but like you also have to get the right guys too.
But I do agree with what you did. I know that you built the whole campaign, fade DBs, but it does make sense to look at Derek Brown, Kwity Paye, or Kyle Hamilton. Like, what are we doing?
I think you can't reduce DB to the point where it's just a throwaway position.
Exactly.
It's still a position you have to fill on your lineup.
There are still difference makers, and there are still guys that will give you a positional advantage.
So Derek Brown's like 13 points per game in 2024. Kwity Paye's maybe 11 points per game.
He
Kyle
sucked last
Hamilton
year.
could be like 18 points per game next year.
Yeah.
I don't know about 18.
Only one of those guys had 3 sacks in a game.
Yeah.
It was
point.
against Gardner Minshew, who was probably high on gummies. So
There's no probably.
take that with a big old grain of salt. But yeah, we love to, you have other guys that you can use to fill out your DL room, much sexier options. You still got to set a DB starting lineup.
Yeah.
And yes, it is best ball. And yes, there are a ton of options, but there is something to be said for, the fact that I think Andrew had both Kyle Hamilton and Antoine Winfield
Exactly
Jr.
right.
on his team
Yeah.
and ends up winning madness. I think you have to have difference makers at each position to ultimately win your league, whether it's just one of these drafts or IDP madness.
Dude, and I have a hard time with that. I'll admit I'm not the best at best balls just because I let my rosters in Dynasty kind of influence that. I had a lot of Justin M last year, Ernest Jones everywhere, Levante David everywhere. So I've got a lot of that recency bias still
Bobby
stuck
just
in my
wants to
head.
give the guys
can't-
their flowers.
Guys, we appreciate last year.
Yes.
Here's your
Here's your
I think
gold
a
watch.
A lot of people hear best ball and they think I got to get the guys with the most upside. And they just load their team down with these upside guys. But it's like there's a lot of risk with that. We have usually it's these guys that haven't done it consistently.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's hard to do it consistently. There's not a lot of guys that do it year in and year out. And so I think that's what you really want to gravitate towards. It is nice to hit on some of these guys every once in a while, but you got to sprinkle those in. You can't be just, you
Can't
can't
be
just
all
go
upside.
7, round 7 to 14. I'm just loading up with
You're
every
going to
sleeper.
finish last.
You're going to suck. You're
Yep.
going to be awful.
You're going to bottom out. More than likely. More often than not, you will bottom out following that strategy.
But yeah, I mean, I think you need to always be open to changing your strategy in drafts. And it was nice to see Keltown too, a guy that's the same thing. You know, he just wrote an article saying the whole, you know, all about taking defensive backs late. He did the exact same thing. He took Derwin James there in the 8th round because I think he looked at the board and was like, yeah, it makes sense here. Like, what are we doing? Like, and
I think you gave everyone permission to be able to draft
just-
CB early.
Everybody
just
took
gotta-
a deep breath.
Yeah.
it's a
Eddie did it.
it's just, you know, this is a different room. I don't think there's going to be a lot of drafts where I'm in that position. I do think like this draft, this best ball number 2 we're in, Winfield's about to go in the 3rd round. Hamilton's probably going in the 4th round. I'm not going to have him at that point, right?
Let's see what
But
the
if-
two's looking like.
But if you're going to be in one of these spots where everyone is thinks the same and kind of, you know, wants to push these DBs on the board, take them, but take the right ones.
Yeah, let's look real quick. We are 4 rounds in. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 4 rounds in, about midway through the 4th round. I'm actually up, boys. Let's do a little just kind of live
go.
pick here. So, Addy, you're right after me, too. So, you need to watch your tongue here.
Oh, we're in, this is 2?
This is 2. So, it's paused right now. But I've started Myles Garrett, Fred Warner, Alex Highsmith. Addy went Nick Bosa, Bobby Okereke, Aaron Donald. So let's take a look at some of the guys that are still on the board. You have Gregory Rousseau, you have Josh Sweat, Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, Cam Hayward, Ed Oliver. At the linebacker position, you've got Devin White, Patrick Queen, Joey Bosa. Do I go Bosa again? Oh my gosh. I'm about to be that guy. Jordan Brooks, Dre Greenlaw, Logan Wilson, Frankie Louvu, Tremaine Edmonds, Trayvon Walker. Oh, this is some juicy picks. CJ Mosley is there. Jack Campbell is there. Where does Jack Campbell end up?
So Jack
in these
Campbell
drafts?
went 802 in Best Ball 1, which is pretty far down.
that
That feels good. I was thinking
You
about
think that
Jack
feels
Campbell.
good?
I think so. Yeah, I'm in on Jack Campbell. I think that we're going to
I'm
see
in on him for Dynasty, but I think the Derek Barnes, Alex Anzalone frustration could still be there.
yeah, it could be, but I'm banking on Jack Campbell working his ass off this offseason.
So Jack Campbell went 802, Anzalone went 808.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that feels a little backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could absolutely happen, but as we sit here, I mean, Anzalone had a career year, and Jack Campbell was 3rd.
But do
snaps.
you want to take him in the 8th now, Anzalone? You're taking him in like the 13th, 14th last year.
Yeah, again, I don't want to take the guys that overachieved and pushed themselves up. But
Anzalone was really
I don't.
good, though.
I don't know that I want Jack Campbell in the 8th either.
Yeah, the longer Detroit played last year, the weirder it got for Jack Campbell to where Anzalone looked okay, and then all of a sudden there was
Derek Barnes.
Barnes played well down the stretch.
All right, Addy, you said it. You think Patrick Queen can ball? Let's go with Patrick Queen.
I like it.
407.
Good
I like it.
selection.
It was down between him and like Greenlaw, Logan Wilson,
Adam
Frankie
loves
Louvu, Tremaine Edmonds, but CJ Mosley.
He's about to grab the Bosa brother.
Yeah, who you going with, Addy? Let's.
No, I'm actually not going to go Bosa, bro.
All right, so you're at the 408. This is about where I took Bosa at the
I think I'll be able to
403.
get Bosa on the way back. I think I'll be able to get him on the way back.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah, I don't think. I don't think everyone's going to be.
You're saying this on a podcast people are going to listen
Yeah.
to
But yeah, it will be hopefully back to me before everyone listens.
before everyone listens to it.
All right, so this is fun.
Yeah, take us inside that beautiful brain. This is a good spot because there are a lot of guys still on the board.
I'm going to be much higher on this guy, I think, than a lot of people to start. But I just was really impressed with the second half of the season.
Uh-oh. Who's he going with?
We're going with Harold Landry here, boys.
Harold Landry. Okay.
Harold Landry's. I mean, he put up 12.8 points per game coming off the ACL. Guy plays a ton of snaps. He's like Max Crosby light, and maybe that changes there in Tennessee, but I don't think so. I think that's kind of who he is.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was awesome. If you look at the weeks 10 through 18, average 16 points per game.
I mean, him and Khalil Mack and Myles Garrett basically carried my Madness squad to a league division-winning title. Because my linebackers were Devondre Campbell and Denzel Perryman to start things off.
What happened is you saw Landry get healthy midseason, coming off that ACL.
Exactly.
Little slow playing time to come in, and then, midseason got healthy and just balled. He went 305 to Lauren in Best Ball 1, which I still don't hate.
You're going Landry at 408.
Yeah, fantastic value, and that's dual designation. He's just linebacker DL
Slam
tag.
dunk. All right, folks. Well, there you go.
So that's Nick Bosa, Bobby Okereke, Aaron Donald, Harold Landry. This is a
Baller.
Yeah.
It's a different room, but
Yeah, it's a different room.
we love having everyone in here. It doesn't matter your skill set; you're going to learn a ton. So even if you're going to get
Even if you get your head busted a couple times,
you may, but
you'll start busting
pay
heads
attention
as
don't
we go along.
Please don't be bitter about it. You know, you're learning. You're learning, and you're like part of the only draft happening right now.
That's right.
And the
everybody else is
2023
sleeping.
NFL season. isn't
Everyone
even
else is
over yet.
sleeping. This will pay off for you, I promise.
Yeah, and then get in Adam's ranks. If you want to do better, theidpshow.com. They're available in the spreadsheets, which you can access via the Dynasty rankings. Just click the spreadsheet tab or the spreadsheet link, and it will take you over. There's a tab for best ball rankings, and like I said, once Addy gets those a little more ironed out, we will send those out through the website, and you can access those as well over there.
There's 500 players in these rankings. There'll be more, obviously, once we get rookies and stuff in here. But you can sort by points per game. You can sort by total points. Every single week is in here, weeks 1 through 18. You can sort by who had the most games under 5 points. You can sort by who had the most games over 30 points. You can sort by who had the most points weeks 1 through 9. You can sort by who had the most points weeks 10 through 18. These are not normal ranks. They're not just ranks. There's tons of data in here that you can dig in and do your own research to.
Yeah,
So
Dior, do you have the captain's patch? Little
that's
toggle
coming.
box?
We're coming with the captain patch.
Do you have
box
the
checklist?
Got that dog in him? Checkbox.
That's next too.
Okay.
We're still working on some of that
Need
stuff.
this by Monday, Addy.
I
We
know,
need it by
I
Monday.
know. But guys, it's there's nothing like it. You know, you don't even have to follow the ranks if you don't want to. You can do your own stuff. But I've just
have a list of players.
put all the data out there for you.
Don't count on Sleeper.
You are effed if you're relying on Sleeper. I'm telling you, and you will
dead.
forget players. You will-
We're in the mid rounds, and I'm looking. Ryan Kerrigan is like the 10th. He's been retired for 3 years. I'm pretty sure.
it's insane.
Just like don't do it, folks. You don't have to have these ranks, but just make sure you have a list of players going into best ball, or you are going to lose.
Also, I don't know where else you're going to find.
I don't
ranks,
either.
though.
Maybe you just grab the list of finishers from your league. Maybe you export that, but
Good luck. Enjoy
Yeah.
it. Do it.
have fun.
Go for it.
Bobo,
Yeah.
any parting words?
No parting words.
Remember to vote in YouTube. Who was the bigger betrayer of themselves in this draft?
It was absolutely Josh.
was probably
every
me.
single time.
Yes, probably me.
I think I've displayed a man of honor. And
go ahead and mute
respect
you right
and
now.
bravery. I think
Bravery.
I've done that.
I
and
think
Cooper
of Adam.
DeJean
Yeah,
with
Cooper
the,
DeJean.
punt return.
Yeah.
It's quite clear.
I think
that
if you tried to return punts, it'd be Marty from Not Another Teen Movie.
I don't think so. I think I,
don't
do
think
a
you
good
got
job.
that Cooper DeJean in you.
I think I do a great job actually. In
Man
fact,
of
I know I will.
valor and character. And
Number
what other
one
other
dynasty
words did you
ranker
say?
at the IDP show?
Honor.
Honor, yes. I think of you and I think of honor. That is absolutely true. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We're going to be doing another draft next week. We are going to be doing a rookie mock draft, diving in the rookie ranks. Like we mentioned, available on the site starting tomorrow around lunch for paid supporters. So make sure you get over there and check those out. We got 1QB, Superflex / tight end premium, and IDP only. So check that out. Be going live about lunchtime tomorrow,
Those were hard.
February 9th.
They were very
They
hard.
were hard.
Please don't. Well, actually, these things are going to change like crazy.
Yeah.
We need
Yes.
the combine. We
Yeah.
need some draft capital. But we've done a good job of our due diligence to start, I think. So
Absolutely.
Adam's
So-
real high on Cooper DeJean.
I am very high. He is my number 3 IDP, I believe.
Yeah,
He is indeed.
he is.
So get in there and check it out, folks. Let us know what you think. And like we said, these will be updated all off season. You can see on the ranks when they were updated, so you can know if this is updated information. But these two, they're going to keep it updated for you. And we'll have the best ball rankings, like we said, coming through the website very soon. Rookie mock draft next week. And I believe Jeff is going to be talking to Evan Ringler, doing an intro to IDP, sort of like a rehash or kind of a reimagining of the IDP crash course. If you're new to IDP, wanted to get your league switched over, just wanting to up your game, that'll be a very fun episode of the after show to listen to. And like we said, make sure you're locked in on the website, theidpshow.com, youtube.com/@theidpshow. You can follow us on Twitter @theidp show as well, and make sure you're subscribed to the IDP show and the IDP after show. Folks, we are cranking. This is a fun time of year. Come hang out with us. Come rock with us. I promise you're going to have a lot of fun. But until next week, y'all take care, and we'll see you soon.
It's the IDP show, now you know.